Well, it's time for Community Corner, where we're going to highlight stories that teach, inspire, and help us to learn a little bit more about our neighbors here in Metro Atlanta. I'm Ron Jones. First, helping a struggling community, a Metro Atlanta nonprofit organization just received a $1 million grant to help expand its services in Fair Oaks in Cobb County. In a story you're only going to see here on 11 Alive, Paulo Soro explains how they plan to use that money to help families get better health care and immigration services.
That $1 million grant will help nonprofit Certi provide families access to physicians, food security, and childcare, services that CEO Belisa Urbina says are not easy to find, especially for Latino families here in Fair Oaks.
With the amount of people and so many of them being uninsured, it's going to take both of us and more to really make a dent.
The start of that dent comes in the form of $1 million from the Community Foundation for Greater Atlanta. With it, Urbina says Certi will be able to expand its services for the community of 9,000. She says over 50% of Fair Oaks residents are Latino and have trouble finding resources.
Many of those families coming from specific countries, usually the men are documented, maybe through a TPS, but in most cases the women and children were not. So we have a larger number of kids in the community that are uninsured.
According to the U.S. Census Bureau, the median income in Fair Oaks is $53,000, significantly lower than Cobb County's average of $86,000. Less than half of the population there has health insurance.
Unemployment in that community is very low. It's just that the families earn so little that it's difficult for them to get ahead.
She says this money will also help start an after-school program at Fair Oaks Elementary with partners like the YMCA and Wellstar.
We are hoping that in 20 years, there's going to be a transformational effort that is really going to improve the outcomes of the families, that we're going to have children that are going to be raised in families that are emotionally stable, financially secure.
Urbina says they are still looking for more funding to carry out this program for years to come. In Cobb County, Paulo Soro, 11 Alive News.
For the first time since the pandemic, DeKalb's mobile market is returning to its farmers market form. So that means that fruits and veggies are going to be available at low prices. Our very own Liza Lucas takes us to the market to learn more about the model and what it hopes to offer families.
It was an unexpected sight off of Candler Road, but when Miss Leela found out what was happening, she just had to go shopping.
I have red bell pepper, green bell pepper, I have squash.
Her bag now full after visiting Fresh on Deck. The market migrates through DeKalb County in areas known to be food deserts.
These are locations that don't have major retailers selling fresh produce.
So Jamila Gilmore says they bring the fresh produce directly to the neighborhood.
I think with the mobile aspect of our market, being able to shop and not necessarily have to go anywhere with the transportation issues and those who've got like mobility issues and things like that, I think it makes a huge difference.
I love it. Yeah, it's worthwhile. It is. You'll have a lot of people to come out. Look.
And the benefit is beyond the produce. The program offers weekly online classes focused on health and nutrition. Those who attend get a discount.
And this bag right here cost me 58 cents.
Organizers hope that word of the program spreads, while Miss Leela, she's already on board.
It's worth it.
Veterans say more needs to be done to support the mental health of those who return from war. According to the USO, service members are dying by suicide at a rate 4 times higher than in combat. 11 Alive's Caitlin Ross shows us how some are now looking deep down to find solutions in an unusual place.
A sea of memories surrounds the soldiers gearing up on assignment.
You do have to focus on what you're doing.
Veteran Michael Brown listening in on a brief for what they're about to brave.
The quietness you get. You're able to get rid of all the noise.
Bravery looks different when you're looking in.
You get inside your own head, it's like, I don't like how I feel on the surface. And a lot of people I find feel that way, but the moment you crack the waves, you break the seal and you're underneath, it's a different world. Because now you can see, now your eyes are open.
Larry Wilson had already seen a whole lot when he founded Deep Blue Dive Therapy. A combat veteran and former police officer, he was barely treading water.
Swimming on the surface, I think there was a little trepidation because you don't know what's down there.
Years after returning home from combat, he was scared to dive into the PTSD diagnosis that changed how he thought of himself.
It's kind of hard to one day be on top of the world and then you needing help. Like it's a weird thing. I fell into that.
To pull himself out, he had to go in.
Once you get underneath, like literally, I feel like they think I'm just a big ugly fish, and they don't care.
The water washing away the rigid demands of who they're supposed to be.
You become part of the world around you, and you don't have all the noise and all the things that are just distracting and stressful and all of that, and you have to be in the moment.
Jason Bush runs the Salute to Veterans program at the Georgia Aquarium and says he sees the impact these dives have on former service members. Many of the divers have lost friends in arms to suicide.
Much like those of us that struggle with the invisible wounds of war, it's much like leaving all of that on the surface and not being bound by the things that you struggle with every day, the anxiety, the PTSD, the depression.
The American Institute of Stress is studying the benefits of scuba diving for PTSD, how it creates a connection to something deeper than themselves.
Pushing yourself to try to find better ways to help yourself and saying, you know what, there is a problem, and getting deeper.
Helping with a new mission to heal.
It's a cause that brought women across Georgia together. We're talking about more than 30 women created face masks during the pandemic, and recently they met each other for the very first time. Paulo Cerro met the ladies who made a difference, one mask at a time.
Living rooms converted into sewing shops.
I had people cutting material, bringing material, dropping it over my concierge. So we have materials like galore.
And materials turned into masks to protect from the COVID-19 virus. It was an assembly line from afar for 30 women across Georgia.
Out of this situation, bad situation, we made some new friends. And that's fantastic.
Just last week, they met for the first time after cutting and sewing more than 1,000 masks at a time when they were hard to find.
And we had dinner, and we were able to talk about our adventures and the obstacles that we went through with our machines and so forth. You know, because my machine is a $200 machine, right? But we have a few people in our group that they have, you know, a $2,000 machine.
It all started with a next door post from Magda Gomez, who during the height of the pandemic was looking for other people who, like her, wanted to help.
What can we do as a humanity instead of being home doing absolutely nothing?
She found others, like Christy de Leon, willing to do what they could.
And I don't know how to sew, but I did cut a lot of material, and I went to every single Lowe's and Home Depot in the Marietta area trying to get some wire.
Each one put their different talents together for the same mission.
Blanca also helped me with some of the supplies, for instance, pipe cleaners, and she helped me with fabric.
And while this was their first time meeting face to face, it sure did not feel that way.
I know, it was wonderful. We do have our WhatsApp little group, and it was great to meet them and to hug each other.
Materials turned into masks, and strangers turned friends. In Atlanta, Paulo Cerro, 11 Alive News.
Georgia's youngest certified farmer can now add another accolade to her already very impressive resume. Our photojournalist Brandon Tucker was there as she got a chance to see her big debut on television.
So today is my Sesame Street episode premiere. I started farming when I was 3 years old. My grandma will always tell me that don't throw those cooking stones away because they can actually help you in many ways. I enjoy just watching it grow. Every day I'll just go in the garden and check out on all my plants, and I'll always come back to report what's going on, what's doing good, what's not doing good. To the cauliflower farm. I'm also a illustrator, and I have a book called I'm Growing Places. I'm also a beekeeper, and we're producing our own honey. Keep growing. The earth relies on you.
We're introducing you to one woman working her dream job. She's a nurse using her life experience to help kids at Children's Hospital of Atlanta. Here's 11 Alive's Molly Oak.
What do you want to do when you grow up? A question kids, hey, even adults, get asked. A question to which Avery Olson,
I know what I want to do,
always knew her answer.
I'm a nurse.
She knows why.
I always knew I was like a people person, and I wanted to help in that sense, whether it's bring a smile, bring a laugh, bring a giggle, or if it's something serious, I never question it.
This is Avery's first year as a nurse at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, but it's not her first time walking the hospital halls.
No, not at all, not at all.
It started with wondering why she kept getting headaches.
It's been a long ride. I was 8 when I had my first migraine.
Years later, she got her answer and had her first and second surgeries at Children's under Dr. Joshua Chern.
She started having small strokes in her brain. And when this happens, this is called moya disease.
The wondering what was wrong was answered, but Avery started asking a new question.
So, you're a nurse, and why are you a nurse? And everybody had their own story. Everybody had a connection to Children's.
As she tried to figure out what comes after high school graduation, another answer emerged.
She was like, why don't you just do nursing?
To which Avery had another question.
She reached out to us, say, hey, I want to go to the nursing school, and can you write a recommendation for me?
The recommendation was answered with an acceptance letter and then a job at Children's, working with the same team that answered all of her questions.
It's definitely cool. It's very full circle.
And it was her goal to work at Children's. So I'm happy that she get to do what she wants to do.
What do you want to do when you grow up, Avery?
Yeah, this is it. This is right. This is what I feel like I need to do.
No question.
No question about it, no.
A sweet reunion showing the bonds between a teacher and student even decades later. Tonight, photojournalist Cody Dallas introduces us to a child who grew up to become an author thanks to the relentless support from an Atlanta Public Schools teacher.
When I was younger, my mom was caught up in that epidemic of crack cocaine. And so, we got evicted no less than 5-6 times. And she saw I was struggling. So I was getting checked on daily. And I had that second mom, as you can say, that looked out for me. It's been almost 40 years. Do you realize that? She saw something in me, and she told me, keep writing. Keep writing, you can be anything you want to be. And I told her I wanted to be a best-selling author one day. And she told me, keep writing, you'll get there. This is the book that I was telling you about right here. That book was published in 2012, and I've held that book for you. It means so much to me to finally reconnect with her and let her know, how much of a blessing she was, because teachers don't get their flowers enough. I want to give you your flowers in person and tell you that I love you and I appreciate you.
Thank you.
I published a book. I think about Paula Snowden. And that's the impact. And I want every young teacher that's out there, every teacher that feels like, hey, they don't appreciate me. Yes, we do. You appreciate it. You might not see it today, but somewhere down the line, that student's gonna come back and say, hey, remember when? And that's the best inspiration you can have for anybody.
You are just too much.
Thank you for everything.